Revenge with Anjo.
The crystal coupe slipped from Elena Brooks's fingers and shattered across the marble floor of the Langham ballroom. Conversation stopped. Music faltered. A jagged silence filled the air as red wine bled into the white linen. To Sienna, Richard Halden declared, raising his glass. May she finally find the stability her sister never did. Laughter followed, soft, polite, cruel. Elena's palm stung. A bead of blood rolled down to the floor like punctuation. She didn't flinch. She looked at her younger sister, radiant in ivory silk, and felt her world tilt. Sienna's smile trembled as Richard rested a proprietary hand on her fiancé's shoulder. Ethan Halden, the heir to Halden Urban Group, looked as uncomfortable as Elena felt. Elena rose slowly, her voice low but clear. Mr. Halden, she said, do you even know what stability costs? The laughter died. Richard's silver eyebrows lifted in theatrical amusement. Ah, the sister speaks. Elena met Sienna's eyes instead of his. You'll find out soon enough. She sat down again, calm as stone. Overhead, chandeliers threw fractured light across the table like cracks spreading through glass. Hours later, rain chased her taxi through London streets. Elena pressed her bandaged palm to the window, city lights smearing into color. Her phone buzzed, an alert from The Guardian. Halden Urban Group under renewed investigation. The headline pulsed like a heartbeat. She allowed herself a small, grim smile. 10 years ago, she'd been a university student watching her parents' block of flats collapse on the evening news. Gas leak tragedy, the reports had said. But she'd read the safety files herself. Reinforcements removed, materials swapped for cheaper imports, signed off by R. Halden. Back then, no one listened to a 23-year-old engineering intern. She'd gone to the company's Manchester office with a folder of evidence, only for a security guard to escort her out. Let it go, love, he'd said. People like you can't win. She had let it go, on the surface. Underneath, she'd been rebuilding.
Degree.
License. Job with City Structures Limited. She learned everything about foundations, how to make them stand, and how to bring them down. Tonight proved the cracks in Halden's empire were beginning to show. Elena's flat overlooked the Thames. Gray light filtered through the blinds when a message arrived from Sienna. He proposed. You'll love his family. Elena read it twice. Her pulse quickened. She typed and erased the same sentence 3 times before setting the phone down. Sienna didn't know. She was marrying the son of the man who'd buried their parents beneath concrete and press releases. Elena opened her laptop. One file glowed. East Bank redevelopment plans. The metadata read, approved by R. Halden. History repeating itself. She sent the file to John Carter, an old university professor turned investigative journalist. Same structural fraud, new postcode, she wrote. His reply was instant. If this checks out, it's corporate manslaughter. Elena exhaled slowly. Rain tapped against the glass like a metronome. Every pattern of corrosion, every skipped safety test, she knew them by heart. She wasn't sabotaging a company. She was dismantling a lie. 2 days later, Sienna called, voice shaking. Did you send something to a journalist? Ethan says his dad's furious. Elena closed her laptop.
Who told you that?
One of his assistants mentioned your name. Are you trying to destroy him? No, Elena said quietly. I'm rebuilding what he broke. There was a long pause. You sound just like Mum, Sienna whispered, then hung up. John's next message contained banking screenshots. Follow the money, he'd written. £7.2 million diverted from the Community Safety Fund into a shell company in the Caymans. Elena stared at the numbers until they blurred. Her parents had died for a ledger line. You sold their lives for £7 million, she murmured to the photo on her desk. She pressed a thumb to the glass, smudging her own reflection. That night a call came from an unknown number. Ms. Brooks? It's Mark Ellis. I'm in Halden Urban's accounts department. I can't live with this. His voice quavered. He told her about forged signatures, fake safety reports, and the hush fund labeled routine maintenance. They'll bury me if they find out. Then we'll keep you safe, Elena said. She wrote down everything. Ink, evidence, survival, it all blurred together into a single line of red on paper. 3 days before Sienna's wedding, Elena stood outside the old Manchester Tower site. Only the foundations remained, cracked concrete overgrown with weeds. She traced a faint engraving on a surviving pillar. Built to last. "You lied about everything," she whispered. Wind rattled scaffolding nearby like bones. She took a photograph and slipped it into an envelope marked John Carter, urgent. The truth was almost ready. All she needed was the moment to make it visible, when every camera in the room would be watching. The following evening, a parcel arrived at Richard Halden's Mayfair office. Inside was a silver photo frame, elegant, understated. The picture showed the collapsed tower, dust still in the air, police tape fluttering. Beneath the glossy print, faint outlines of offshore transfers shimmered like ghosts. Richard frowned. He turned the frame over and read the engraving. "Foundations tell the truth." He set it down slowly, knuckles whitening. An hour later, Elena's phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., Finch and Pine Cafe." The sender ID, RH. She replied with a single word.
Fine.
When she arrived, the cafe smelled of roasted beans and tension. Richard waited at the corner table, immaculate in his navy coat. "You think you can ruin me with paperwork?" he asked. "I build cities. I bury people like you under concrete and contracts." Elena met his gaze. "Paperwork is what's going to bury you, Mr. Halden." His jaw tightened. "Be careful. Foundations collapse both ways." That night, John called. "He's panicking. Our source says he ordered a full system sweep." "Then move early," Elena said. "The files go live when he makes the wedding toast." "At what time?" 2:15. John hesitated. "You're sure?" "Completely. This time, we make the truth public before he can rewrite it." She stared out over the Thames, lights rippling like molten glass. At dawn, Sienna appeared at her door, mascara smudged, holding a half-packed suitcase. "Ethan says you're trying to destroy his father. Tell me it isn't true." Elena sighed. "It's not about revenge. It's about accountability." "You sound obsessed." "I sound awake." Sienna's voice cracked. "You'll ruin us." Elena's expression softened.
No, love.
"I'm trying to stop him from ruining you." Ethan arrived that evening. His eyes were hollow, voice low. "My father used our names on transfer forms. It's fraud." He handed her a flash drive.
Take it.
"Do what you need to do." Elena studied him. "You're helping me?" "I'm helping the truth," he said simply. When he left, she felt something unexpected, pity. Children often pay for their fathers' foundations. The morning before the wedding, London woke to sleet. Elena sat at her desk, blueprint pages spread like a chessboard. Red lines linked names, dates, accounts. In her father's old notebook she wrote, "Blueprint of justice." Cracks aligned. Collapse imminent. The lamp glowed softly. Her reflection in the window looked like someone she barely recognized. Stronger, colder, ready. At noon, Mark Ellis called again, voice trembling. "He's wired another transfer to silence a journalist." "Then it's already too late," Elena said. "The evidence is stored offshore, encrypted." "You're playing a dangerous game." "No," she answered quietly. "I'm finishing one." She ended the call and tucked her father's drafting pencil into her coat pocket, a talisman of purpose. Sienna knocked later that night, wrapped in her wedding robe. "I can't sleep. Ethan's restless. Dad's angry." Elena poured tea for them both. "Tomorrow's not about hate, Sienna. It's about truth." Her sisters stared into the cup. "Truth breaks things." "So does silence," Elena said. They didn't hug when she left. Some cracks can't be sealed overnight. Across the city, Richard's security chief reported murmurs of an investigation. "Should we postpone the ceremony, sir?" Richard's smile was brittle.
No.
"Tomorrow I'll toast my son and remind the world who owns this skyline." He didn't know that John had already scheduled the exposé for automatic release, triggered by live stream keywords from the wedding. Before dawn, Elena found a note slid under her door. Sienna's handwriting. Whatever happens, I still love you. Elena didn't cry. She folded the paper neatly and placed it beside the photo of their parents. Outside, the sky blushed pink over the Thames. For you, she whispered. For both of you. The city woke, unaware that by afternoon, one of its empires would fall. The Halden estate in Surrey gleamed under weak winter sunlight. Guests gathered among glass walls and floral arches, unaware of the storm brewing beneath their heels. Elena slipped into the back of the ballroom, silver dress catching stray light. At exactly 2:15 p.m., Richard lifted his glass. To Sienna and Ethan, he said smoothly. May your marriage stand stronger than some of the foundations we've seen. Laughter rippled, then froze. Every screen in the ballroom flickered. News banners replaced wedding photos. Halden Urban Group under federal investigation. £7.2 million diverted to Cayman accounts. Safety reports forged. Gasps cut through the hall. Ethan stared at the screens, pale. He used my name, he shouted, holding up a document. Richard's face drained of color. Sienna's bouquet fell to the floor. Dad, she whispered. Elena stepped forward. You built your empire on hollow ground, she said. I'm here to make sure it collapses. Cameras clicked. Wine spilled. Guests whispered. Richard reached for her arm, but she stepped back. My parents died because you called negligence an accident. Today, the world calls it what it is. She turned to Sienna. Walk away, love. It's over. Sienna took Ethan's hand and left through the side door, sobbing. The music had stopped. Only the hiss of the microphones remained. Richard slumped into his chair, staring at the shattered remains of his toast glass. The photo frame on the gift table blinked once, its hidden lens transmitting everything. By evening, the footage would circle every major news outlet. The next morning, headlines filled every screen. Halden arrested for fraud and corporate manslaughter. Footage showed him being led into a black sedan, cuffs glinting. Elena watched in silence. Her flat was quiet except for the kettle boiling. On the counter lay her father's drafting pencil, its metal worn smooth. They finally saw what you saw, she whispered. A sharp knock startled her. Sienna stood in the doorway, eyes red, newspaper in hand. You humiliated us, she said. You destroyed my husband's family. Elena shook her head. I stopped pretending their wealth wasn't built on our parents' graves. Sienna threw the paper onto the table. Richard's mugshot stared up between them. You could have told me. Would you have listened? Silence answered for both. John phoned later. It's official. The trust fund has been reinstated for victims' families. The company's under new management. What's it called now? Elena asked. The Brooks Foundation. She smiled faintly. Then the ground finally holds. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to breathe without counting the cracks. Weeks passed. Sienna sent a message. I finally understand. You didn't destroy us. You rebuilt us. Ethan had changed his surname, distancing himself from his father's empire. They moved north to start over. Elena replied simply, Thank you for standing on solid ground. She meant it. A year later, she visited the rebuilt Manchester site. Where rubble once stood, a memorial garden bloomed, white lilies lining polished marble. The Brooks Foundation for Structural Integrity was carved in stone. She knelt, tracing the letters. You can't rebuild without breaking first, she murmured. John placed a hand on her shoulder. Any regrets? None, she said. Not anymore. As dawn spilled over the city, the new tower shimmered in gold light. Rainwater trickled down steel beams that would never fail. Elena slipped her father's pencil back into her pocket and walked toward the future. People called it revenge. She called it restoration. Justice didn't roar. It settled quietly, like earth after an earthquake, firm again beneath her feet. If you value stories of respect, dignity, and justice, please subscribe. It means more than you know, and it lets me keep sharing the lessons life has carved into me.